The clock that ran backwards. In Derry, there was a clock shop on the corner of Canal and Up Mile End that no one remembered opening. It had always been there, the way the river had always been there, quiet and inevitable. The sign above the door was hand-lettered in peeling black, timepieces, repaired while you wait. The windows were never cleaned, but the clocks inside always gleamed. The proprietor was a small, neat man named Mr. Harrow. He wore a vest with too many pockets, each one holding a different tool, tweezers, a loop, a tiny brass key. He spoke softly, as though afraid of waking the mechanisms around him. People said he had been there since the flood of '51, but no one could swear to it. He fixed clocks for free. All he asked was that you leave the old battery behind, or the old mainspring, or if it was a grandfather clock, the pendulum weight. "Every piece has a memory," he would say, smiling that small, careful smile. "I like to keep them." Most people laughed and left their dead AA batteries in the little tin dish on the counter. They took their ticking clocks home and never thought about it again, until the clocks started running backward. It began with Mrs. Evelyn Grant. She had brought in her late husband's pocket watch the week after the funeral. The watch had stopped at 3:17 the moment his heart did. Mr. Harrow took it gently, opened the back, removed the tiny battery, and handed the watch back to her, still warm from his hands. "Keep it close," he said. "It will tell you when it's time." Evelyn wore it every day. At first it ran forward, slow but steady. Then one morning she noticed the hands moving the wrong way. Not fast, not dramatic, just backward, 1 minute at a time, unwinding the hours she had already lived. She told herself it was a fault in the mechanism. She took it back to Mr. Harrow. He examined it under the loupe for a long time. "The battery is fine," he said. "It's the memory that's running out." Evelyn didn't understand. Mr. Harrow tapped the crystal gently. "Every second you live is written here. When the hands go backward, it means the ink is running dry." She left the shop feeling colder than the November wind should have made her. 2 weeks later, she was found in her kitchen, sitting at the table with the pocket watch open in front of her. The hands had stopped at 3:17 again, this time backward. The coroner called it natural causes, heart failure, the same as her husband. The watch was still ticking backward when they found it, one tick every few seconds, like a heartbeat counting down to 0. After that, more people noticed. Old Mr. Callahan's cuckoo clock began unwinding the hours every night at midnight. He would wake to find the little wooden bird facing the wrong way, singing its call in reverse, hoo-coo, like something being pulled back into its shell. The morning he didn't wake up at all, the clock was silent. The hands pointed to the hour he had died, backward from the moment he was born. Children started bringing in their digital watches. The numbers would scroll in reverse, 12 o'clock becoming 11:59, becoming 11:58, all the way down to 0000, then blank. When the screen went dark, the child would usually disappear from school the next week. "Run away," the police said, or "moved away." No one looked too hard. One evening in February, a boy named Lucas Tate walked into the shop with his father's wristwatch. The father had been a firefighter. He had died in a warehouse blaze 6 months earlier. The watch had stopped at 2:42 a.m., the exact time the roof collapsed. Lucas set it on the counter. "Can you fix it?" he asked. Mr. Harrow opened the case. He removed the battery. He held it up to the light. "This one still has time left," he said quietly. He replaced the battery and handed the watch back. Lucas wore it every day. The hands moved forward at first, then slower, then they began to hesitate, as though reluctant to advance. One night, Lucas awoke to find the hands moving backward again, very slowly, 1 second for every 10 heartbeats. He went back to the shop at dawn. Mr. Harrow was waiting. "The battery is fine," he said, "but the memory is almost gone." Lucas looked at the watch. "What happens when it reaches 0? Mr. Harrow smiled that small, careful smile. "Then the clock stops and you begin again." Lucas left the shop without another word. He never took the watch off. Some nights, people walking past the shop after midnight see the lights still on. They see Mr. Harrow at his workbench surrounded by hundreds of batteries, mainsprings, pendulums, gears, each one labeled with a name and a time. He works without hurry. He never sleeps. Because in Derry, time doesn't run out. It simply runs backward. And when the last second unwinds, Mr. Harrow is there to catch it. He puts it in a pocket and waits for the next customer to bring him something that still remembers how to tick. Chapter 2: The Battery in the Drawer. Mr. Harrow did not keep regular hours, but the shop light was always on when someone needed it. On the night of February 3rd, 2026, the bell above the door gave its soft, almost apologetic chime at 2:14 a.m. The snow outside had stopped falling hours earlier, leaving the streets of Derry quiet except for the low whine of the wind through the power lines. The woman who entered was named Sophia Reyes. She was 29, a paralegal who worked late and slept even later. She carried a small velvet pouch in her gloved hand. Inside it was a child's wristwatch, pink plastic band, cartoon cat face on the dial, the kind that had cost $12 at the drugstore in 2009. The watch had stopped years ago. No one had bothered to replace the tiny button battery. Sophia set the pouch on the counter without meeting Mr. Harrow's eyes. "My niece's," she said. She doesn't need it anymore." Mr. Harrow opened the pouch. He lifted the watch carefully, as though it might crumble. The hands were frozen at 4:22. The second hand had fallen off long ago and lay at the bottom like a broken eyelash. He turned the watch over. The back was scratched from years of being dropped, chewed, worn to school under a sleeve. "This one still remembers," he said quietly. Sophia's throat moved. "She was 8, leukemia. Last Christmas, she asked me to fix it so she could wear it to the hospital one more time. I said I would. I never did." Mr. Harrow did not offer sympathy. He simply nodded, the way a mechanic nods when told the car has been making a strange noise for months. He opened the case with a tiny screwdriver. The battery was a silver disc, corroded at the edges. He removed it with tweezers and placed it in the tin dish with the others. Then he took a fresh battery from a drawer under the counter, one that looked identical to every other watch battery in the world. He pressed it into place. The second hand jerked once, then began to move forward. Tick, tick, tick. Sophia watched it for a long moment. "Thank you," she whispered. Mr. Harrow closed the case and handed the watch back. "Keep it close," he said. "It will tell you when the time is borrowed." She left without another word. The bell chimed behind her. Outside, the street was empty. Sophia walked 3 blocks before she stopped under a street lamp. She opened her coat and slipped the watch onto her own wrist. It was too small, the band cutting into her skin, but she didn't care. The hands moved steadily forward. At first, it felt like relief. Then the dream started. Every night the same one. She was 8 years old again, sitting on the edge of a hospital bed. The room smelled of antiseptic and plastic. Her niece, Lila, was there, pale and small, the IV line taped to her thin arm. Lila looked at the watch on Sophia's wrist and smiled. "You fixed it," she said. Sophia tried to speak, but no sound came out. Lila reached over and touched the face of the watch. The hands began to move backward, slowly at first, then faster. The room dimmed, the monitors flatlined in reverse. Beep, 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 becoming a rising whine that pulled the sound back into silence. Lila's face grew younger. The IV disappeared. The hospital bed became a crib, then nothing at all. Sophia woke gasping each time, the watch still on her wrist, the hands now pointing to 4:21. 1 second earlier. Every night, 1 second earlier. By the 3rd week of February, the watch read 3:58 when she woke. She had lost 24 seconds of sleep, 24 seconds of borrowed time. She went back to the shop on a Thursday evening. The light was on. Mr. Harrow was at his workbench, polishing a brass pendulum with a soft cloth. He looked up as though he had been expecting her. "It's running backward now," Sophia said. Her voice cracked on the last word. Mr. Harrow set the pendulum down. "The battery is new," he said. "It's the memory that's unwinding."
Sophia stared at him. "What does that mean?"
"It means she's almost done remembering you," he answered. "When the hands reach 0, the debt is paid." Sophia's knees felt weak.
"I don't understand."
Mr. Harrow opened the same drawer. Inside were rows of batteries, each one labeled with a name in tiny handwriting. He selected one, the same size as the others, but duller, as though it had been used before. "This one," he said, "still has a little time left, but not much." He held it up. On the flat side, scratched faintly into the metal, LR 422. Sophia felt the floor tilt under her. "That's her battery," Mr. Harrow said gently. "The one that stopped when she did. I kept it, just in case someone came to pay the balance." Sophia reached out, then pulled her hand back. "What happens if I take it?" Mr. Harrow's smile was small and careful. "Then the clock stops running backward, and yours begins." She looked at the watch on her wrist. The hands had moved again while they spoke. 3:57. She thought of Lila's smile in the dream, the way the room had grown younger around her. Sophia took the old battery. It was cold against her palm. Mr. Harrow watched her leave. The bell chimed once. Outside, the wind had picked up again. Sophia walked slowly home. When she reached her apartment, she sat on the edge of her bed and stared at the 2 batteries in her hand, the new one still warm from the watch, and the old one cold and final. She did not put the old one back in the watch. Instead, she placed both in the velvet pouch and set them on the nightstand. That night, she did not dream. The watch on her wrist kept perfect time, forward, 1 second at a time. But somewhere in the quiet hours before dawn, the hands hesitated, just for a heartbeat, then continued. Mr. Harrow was still at his workbench when the first customer of the new day arrived. He was ready. In Derry, time never truly stops. It only borrows from someone else, and Mr. Harrow always keeps the change.